Stop in the name of the law. Are you looking for the safest cities in Massachusetts? You gotta check out this video. Hey everyone, my name is Matt Swierk. You know I'm a local real estate expert right here in the state of Massachusetts with the Legacy Star team powered by Keller Williams Realty. Now, if this is the first time you've been here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. You know we talk everything about Massachusetts. Sometimes we get a little zany. We talk about some of the great places to eat, sleep, drink, play. And today we're talking about some of the safest cities. So you have lots of questions. We have lots of answers. Reach out to us. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Any way you reach out, we'll get back. We get overwhelmed with all the amount of activities, so be patient with us. One thing you always have to remember when it comes to Massachusetts, we've always got your back. All right, so we are pulling data today talking about the safest cities in Massachusetts. I have a whole list. This is where I feel like Scoop the reporter because I don't want to give the wrong information. So I want to make sure I have all the data right at my fingertips. This was provided, Alina Bradford actually put this article together and we said, you know what, this is great information. Let's share everything that she had put out there. And it's really interesting because as I go through these communities, a lot of people aren't going to know, when I start bringing up Hopkinton and all these places, they're like, okay, that's just another name. However, it's interesting because when we get there, you're going to see a connection as far as the median income of properties to the amount of residents. But there's a couple surprising ones on the list, and when we get there, I'll kind of give you my 45 cents. You always know you get way more than 2 cents with me. So the safest cities that we have here, I want to talk. I'm going to really go right off of this article, and I think it's interesting because one thing that's funny is that overall, now again, this is a sample size of people that have been surveyed. So it's not every single person, but we're going to go with the general consensus of what we were given. So us folks that live here in Massachusetts, our concern about our safety is where the national average is as far as being concerned about safety. And what's funny about that is our crime rates are below the national average and they drop year over year. However, we have the same concern about being safe, which I completely reject because I live in a world that we create what you focus on expands. And why would I focus on crime? Because I don't want that coming to me. So I live in a world that everything is great and that's where I'm staying. Yes, I'm one of those shiny, happy people. Let's go hold hands. All right. So, like I said, our crime rates have dropped year over year. We consistently see lower crime rates and property rates, we see lower violent crime rates and lower property crime rates compared to the rest of the country. Say that 25 times fast. Ugh. All right, but 47% of people are highly concerned about their safety every day. That's on par with the national average. And the biggest concern that people have as far as, crime, it's package theft, right? We've all seen those videos on, on YouTube of, from the Ring doorbells. Yeah, listen, don't be stealing packages. What's wrong with you? Don't steal anything. Go out there and work for Anyway, all right. So we actually have, we've reported fewer gun violence incidents. Last year, we went from a 4% down to a 1%. And the property crime fell from 11% down to, from 13% down to 11%. And it just keeps dropping down. As far as violent crime experiences, we were at 8% last year, and now we're going down to 5%. So we're a fairly safe state. Our perception's not there, which doesn't make me happy because I want people to, focus on the positive things in life and not live in fear of crime happening, especially someone taking my packages from Amazon. All right, anyway, so I love this because she wrote this, kind of the violent crimes in Massachusetts, the fear versus the reality, right? Most people feel safe, and again, violent crime has dropped 6%, overall since last year. 65% of Massachusetts residents, have that feeling of being safe, which is higher than 55% overall as far as Americans feeling safe. So we do feel a little safer than the rest of the country, which is great as far as violent crime. Yeah, that's the worst type of crime. Now, there has been a slight year-over-year decline where we had basically from 3.1 incidents per 1,000 people, that's dropped down to 3.1 incidents per 1,000. Okay, and again, this is overall. This is not, individual communities. 5% of people that got surveyed said that they had an experience, with violent crime over the past year. And that's 3 percentage points lower than the previous year. So things are dropping, things are looking good. Massachusetts is actually one of 14 states to see a drop in violent crimes reporting in 2022. So that's awesome. And this, I don't like to even say this, but not a single murder was reported among the 20 safest cities in Massachusetts. So, I was going to say something. So, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to hide from this. We're not going to hide from this. Massachusetts has the highest number of violent crimes compared to New England. However, it's below the U.S. average. Okay, so we're not going to hide from data. It is what it is. We're comparing. Listen, Massachusetts versus Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine. I mean, there's some parts of Maine that are up there. There's not a big population, so what they call it God's country for a reason. It's way up there. What a beautiful state. I love Maine. I love Maine. Lobster, blueberry cobbler. Lobster. You can get lobster anywhere, but Maine lobster, that's the way to go. So when I'm on the West Coast and I'm eating these lobsters, I'm like, what is this? Where is the sweetness of those lobsters from Maine? Okay, anyway. All right. 19% of people that got surveyed have some form of personal protection, like a pepper spray, which is way below 34% national average as far as people feeling that they need to have some type of personal protection. As far as gun violence in Massachusetts, gun safety is a big concern here in the Bay State, and mass shootings are down, from the year before. 60% of people that were surveyed named gun violence as their top fear, right? Their top safety concern. It's higher than the rest of the country, 53%. So that's something we're awful of. We're afraid of gun violence, but we don't have that much of it. 32% are worried about gun violence, where 38% is the national average. So we feel a little bit as far as a violent incident happening with a gun, but overall we're afraid of guns. It is what it is. This year, Massachusetts mass shootings fell by 50%. So that's really strong. And it's sad. It's sad that we live in this state that people are not sad that we live in the state of Massachusetts. It's sad that we live in this state as far as where people, I'll tell you right now, people, do me a favor, reach out to your brothers and sisters, reach out to everyone that's here on planet Earth. When you see someone that's really down and distracted from the rest of everybody else, something's wrong. Just give that random stranger a smile, say hi to them. You never know what type of impact acknowledging a human is going to have. I love going into places where there's a lot of depression as far as depressed economic areas, because that's where people feel thrown away. They feel like they're a piece of trash and that they are not a human being. And I'm sorry, every one of us deserves to be treated as a human, because we are. All right, so property crime in Massachusetts, the fear versus the reality, right? We basically, property crime rates dropped 11% in the last year. And that came in, there was 10.5 property crimes per 1,000 residents. So that's really great. It's a big drop that we had from 11.8 down to 10.5. And 42% of the people that got surveyed, feel that they need some type of protection, which is lower than 60% when it comes to property crime, right? I'm not talking violent crime about being on the street and having to have your pepper spray. So the top form of protection that people have here in Massachusetts is a home security system. 24% of people have them. So there you go about the fears versus the reality. So I gotta tell you, I have everywhere, and this just is my personal thing, again, my perception of being safe. I grew up in Quincy, not the mean, we joke around like the mean streets of Quincy, we were a city, but there were some areas, you had Roxbury, you had Dorchester, you had Mattapan, South Boston. There were certain communities that you may not feel, safe as a kid. And I'll tell you, growing up a kid on the streets, I had strong street sense. And I felt, you could put me in the middle of those, walking down the middle of those streets at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would feel much safer than when I moved out to the woods and like not knowing what's out there in the woods and like, what are those eyes? Of course it was probably a pigeon or a squirrel, but I'm like, there's a creature out there. I can't see it. What is it? Light up the backyard. Let's spend a lot of money on electricity because I'm afraid of the dark. All right. So maybe I have an irrational fear of the woods, but anyway, and I live towards where I used to live towards the woods. Anyway. All right. Here's a video I thought was going to take 3 seconds, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's 45 minutes. I know it's not that long. But that's, that's just some basic information as far as the feeling of what we feel of residents in Massachusetts. I'm taking myself out of it because I'm not afraid. However, if you're looking for information, you're looking to move here to rent, you're looking here to relocate, you want to know about the job market, reach out to us. We might not be experts in all those areas. However, we'll look to guide you wherever we can. And I want to let people know, it's interesting because I do get phone calls and people are like, hey, well, can you tell me like what's the best part of town, or what's this versus this? We could, we're not going to. We don't want to steer people to certain communities. That's illegal. It's unethical. And this is where we'll, if someone's like, hey, what's the good or bad parts of town? I'm just going to direct you towards certain crime maps and let you make that decision. Because I do not want to violate anything with fair housing. I don't want it to be discriminatory. We go on the facts, let people, make their decisions from there. So, reach out to us anyway. We love doing this. We really appreciate the support. If we haven't gotten back in touch with you, I apologize. We'll get back as soon as we can. The thing we just want you to remember, when it comes to Massachusetts, we've always got your back.